Hey everyone, welcome to the first ever Slice of Retail podcast. I'm your host, Jared Taylor. Joining me today is the Global Manager of Advanced Analytics at RetailNext, Joe Shasteen. Joe, how's it going?
It's going great. Very happy to be here with you today.
Very happy to have you. Thanks for being guest number one. We've done a lot of these shows across different verticals, but this is our first kind of entry into the retail space, which we're very excited about. And yeah, excited to have you as guest number one. Let's kick things off. First, tell people, what your role entails at RetailNext, and maybe give us what a typical day looks like for you and what some of your main responsibilities are.
Yeah. So I'm the global manager of advanced analytics at RetailNext, and a little bit about RetailNext. So RetailNext is kind of the first retail vertical IoT platform to bring e-commerce style shopper analytics to brick and mortar, stores, brands, and malls. So we do this through our platform, our UI cloud-based platform that enables our retailers to get access to their data in essentially real time. So they can understand their traffic trends at both the store level as well as within the store, how shoppers are dwelling, where they're shopping at within the store, also understanding other metrics, layering in, their own point of sale data, labor data to understand trends such as conversion, understand their shopper per labor hour ratios, all of these other sorts of metrics that they can get by layering and understanding traffic into their stores. What else can they calculate and what else can they understand about how their store is performing, both on a real-time basis and over the long term, looking historically as well as into the future.
And let's in terms of like any key projects that you're either working on or that you've led in the past, can you talk us through any of those, and then maybe how they impacted the company's overall strategy and ops?
Yes, we've actually done a lot of great work with many different customers. So there's both. RetailNext offers a few different products, and one of the things that I work on is kind of both of those. So our core product offering is just traffic kind of at the doorway, right? So one of the key things is with traffic is, understanding then, the opportunity. So conversion rate opportunity as well as your labor allocation. So one of the projects that I've worked on, and this is actually across, multiple retailers, anytime we're kind of doing a fleet-wide rollout of traffic, one of the first things that we really like to look at is the labor allocation ratio, right? And looking at the ratio of how staff is being, planned for throughout the day from an hourly basis, and comparing that to what we're seeing from a traffic basis, right? Previously, before having traffic, many retailers will use their sales transactions for staffing, which is great and can be useful. But sales are the lagging indicator, right? That sale has already happened, right? So you've already lost on the opportunity to make a sale to a person who didn't purchase if you're only looking at sales data for staffing. So we like to then start looking at traffic data and really starting to work with our retailers in order to start where can they start reallocating labor based on where we're seeing more opportunity. And you'll see many different instances, right, where maybe your sales are great at a certain time period, but maybe that's just due to, a really great associate who's working that time, or maybe, just a few really good customers come in during that time, but you're not able to identify and see that there's actually a larger opportunity maybe the hour before. And traffic data, what we've worked with many customers on is really allocating that data more efficiently throughout the day and looking at other metrics such as average transaction value, conversion rates, and really seeing a very strong correlation between better allocating that labor for a lower shopper per labor hour ratio with increased metrics such as conversion.
Now, as it relates to customer behavior, how is RetailNext using that data to, I know you mentioned a little bit, but track and analyze customer behavior specifically, and more so, what surprising trends have you really seen as of lately?
Yeah, I think, what RetailNext does, and, when we collect data in store, we're collecting everything, anonymously. There's no identifiable information that we're collecting. We're using multiple cameras to understand XY coordinates of shopper paths throughout the store. And each of those paths is essentially just, an anonymous path of a person walking through, each of our camera views, but then that's translated into a floor plan so that we can then see how customers are moving from fixture to fixture, where they're passing by quickly, where they're not passing, or where they're actually stopping, engaging, and potentially interacting with the product, interacting with an associate, and ultimately then what does their journey look like towards making a purchase. So with that data, we can get a lot of great information around what are those key fixtures that are driving a lot of sales or getting a lot of impressions. it's really to take a step back. With RetailNext, I mentioned we provide kind of those e-commerce style analytics, for the brick and mortar space. I like to think of it as we're providing kind of the middle of the funnel, right? You might understand the store traffic at the top of the funnel and your bottom line sales at the bottom of the funnel, but we're really able to tell you where are people actually stopping, engaging with product, where are they maybe dropping off in that purchaser path or that purchaser funnel, where there are opportunities to maybe reallocate product, change display fixtures, do some fixture testing to really try to tell the story of the product or your brand better, to really engage with customers and drive incremental sales or increased conversion. And that's really a lot of what we work with a lot of our retailers on. But we also don't just work with retailers kind of on the customer side. We also do a lot of work on staff planning, kind of staff implementation. What are staff tasking? How much time is being spent? As well as just kind of the regular kind of fixture testing as well that we've worked through.
Now, we can't have a podcast without mentioning AI these days, right? It's even if it's brief.
Yeah.
So AI has been pretty integral to analytics in today's society. How? Just give us a high level. You don't have to dig into detail here, but how is RetailNext incorporating AI into its analytic solutions, and have you seen any benefits lately?
Yeah, and I think with RetailNext, right, we're always kind of trying to push forward our technology, our hardware solution of the Aurora. So we've implemented machine learning in that to better train our sensors into identifying purchasing behaviors and customer behaviors, and better exclude things that are not people from being tracked, right? So we're using AI and machine learning and all those sorts just to improve the hardware technology. And that's really kind of the core, areas where it's being implemented, and just making sure we're getting, data that is more and more accurate as, the technology increases. But that's not to say we don't also use our technology in many cases to, analyze certain AI that, retailers might be putting into store, right? If they're using more connected fitting rooms or digital displays, certain things that might be a little bit more interactive, right? Using retail technology such as RetailNext to understand traffic and dwells and actual usage of some of these kind of advanced technologies going into retail spaces has also been something that, we found, very powerful, and, provide just more metrics again to how are customers actually using and engaging with these products, or, these new offerings that are going into retail environments.
Now, obviously you can't have AI without proper data. There's so many sources of data available today. So how is RetailNext integrating and managing data from all the various channels that exist to provide that cohesive analysis for retailers?
Yeah, and that's one of the great things about our platform is that we're able to bring in point of sale data, labor data, store hours data, to layer in much more easily and kind of merge it with the traffic data that we're able to provide, any of the interior data as well. But we also make it very easy to pull the retail data out of our platforms into internal BI tools, so that if there's analysis that needs to be done internally, it's just as easy to do so. So we try to make our platform a hub for all data, but we also understand and we want to make it easy for retailers to share data as much as possible throughout the organization, whether it's internal reports, real-time reporting, whatnot. So lots of different options. We really try to be pretty agnostic towards how customers will use the data.
Joe, as we look kind of into the future, let's look at future trends here for a second. When we look at can you describe what emerging trends in retail analytics you foresee becoming, top of mind, and let's say over the next 5 to 10 years, and then how is RetailNext preparing to address those trends?
Yeah, and I think a lot of kind of what we're seeing, and things change. So 5 to 10 years, maybe talking the next couple of years more than 5 to 10. But I would say a lot of the conversations that I'm having is really around advancing more digital uses, right? We're talking in some cases retail media networks trying to use more kind of ad space in the store, data monetization, data partnerships, really sharing data among brands, so that we're increasing knowledge, and those retailers then, or those brands themselves, We'll also be able to make better decisions about the products that they're, including, if there is any sort of staff that they're providing, right? It's just enabling additional knowledge, additional options for making better business decisions with this kind of data. So, data sharing, data partnerships is something that we talk about a lot in kind of the retail space, and using, retail technology in order to accomplish that. Again, digital media networks as well, kind of really using space within stores to, for other, advertising purposes, other kind of promotional items, just taking advantage of the impressions that you have in certain areas of the store, whether it's, at the queuing sections, right, for checkout, if it's going to be in returns areas, right? So lots of different ways to kind of move forward retail technology, just from a data monetization and kind of data sharing kind of standpoint with many, many retailers.
In terms of what's next for RetailNext, what really excites you, and maybe specifically how it relates to your role?
Yeah, I mean, my role is typically to partner with our customers in order to make sure that they're using the data and having their questions addressed. But it really does focus on the retail lab, and I'm very excited about where we're going with retail labs. Continuing to improve our technology in order to better understand customer paths, understand more about what are those most common purchaser journeys that you might see, what is really driving the purchaser, where they may be falling off of that purchasing path, opportunity for customers, and just really increasing overall knowledge about what customers are looking for when they enter a retail space, so that our customers, our clients, the retailers themselves, can provide a better experience, right? I mean, I think that's something we didn't quite touch on, but what I really feel like going into the future in retail is going to be really making sure that brands are connecting with their customers and providing them the experience that they want. I've done a lot of other media reading as well, right? And customers just don't want to go into a store just to make a purchase, right? They want to either try on, they want to connect with a knowledgeable associate. There's a lot of different things that they want to do when they come into a retail space. And it's important to make sure that, as a retailer, you're giving them that experience. It's not just a place to quickly come in and check out. There's many other options to do that. And using retail technology data such as RetailNext is, really helping retailers understand more about what customers are looking for when they do make it inside their four walls.
I want to hear if there's any funny stories or anything that really surprised you. You've been in the space for a while now. Anything that like really stood out to you over the years, whether it was a customer conversation, something you've seen within the data, a retail just story that came to be, that even if it's not related to RetailNext, I want to hear of one of the most interesting things that you've kind of heard over these last few years being in the space.
I guess the one thing I could say is it's probably more so about, and it's kind of opposite of what I feel, but I feel like there's still a lot of maybe anxiety around data capturing, right? Especially with conversion rates and, just understanding more data. So in some cases, we've seen employees who maybe, and this goes to, honestly, going back to communication internally, right? When you're employing retail technology and making sure that employees understand, right? Associates understand the reason for it, and that there is a good reason. It's going to help the business by, having traffic, having interior analytics. But, there was a time at which, it was many years ago, where we were actually sometimes seeing that employees were actually covering up the sensors because they didn't want their conversion rates to be properly tracked, because they were concerned about it, right? So it just goes to show that, as you implement these, really great technologies and, across all your stores, communication internally is very important in making sure that, people understand, again, why you're doing this, how this is going to help the business, how they can use the data themselves to do their job better, right? And feel more empowered to make better decisions in their roles. So, I will just say there's still, again, going back to that kind of data anxiety, right? There's still a lot of fear about it, but, sharing the data, getting comfortable with the data, it really can be very valuable for driving better business decisions and, making your business more efficient over time.
I love it. You want to hide something? Hide your webcam when you're done using it, but don't hide the sensors.
Yes, exactly.
I like it. Well, Joe, thank you so much for sharing some thoughts here today and telling the audience a little bit about yourself, and also kind of giving us an update on really the future of retail, specifically retail analytics through the lens of RetailNext. Look forward to future conversations, and let's continue the conversation soon.
Great. Thank you so much for having me today.